Real Housewives of New Jersey, Teresa Giudice pulls Dolores Catania away from Danielle Staub as feud erupts. Teresa Giudice and brother Joe Gorga embarked on their restaurant business during Wednesday's episode of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. The siblings started the Italian restaurant as a bid to bring their family closer together after the death of their beloved mother Antonia Gorga. The run-up to opening night of Gorga's homemade pasta and pizza, however, reopened old wounds among the family, and sparked a massive fight among some of Teresa's invited guests. Teresa, 45, once again fought with sister-in-law Melissa Gorga, 38, accusing her of getting too involved in the family restaurant and insisting, "She's only Gorga by effing injection." As Melissa and husband Joe looked on in anger, Teresa added, "She's only a Gorga by marriage. I mean, if my brother divorces you, you're not going to be a Gorga anymore." The two women patched up their latest rift, but a special tasting night they threw ended in another round of fighting among their friends, with Dolores Catania and Siggy Flicker storming out in a flurry of cursing and name-calling. The drama stemmed from the women taking sides for either Danielle Staub or Dolores Catania after the former insisted Dolores said Teresa was only interested in money. The side-taking blew up when Margaret Joseph suggested Siggy had to be crazy to suggest Danielle was lying, with Siggy soon admitting she was still furious about Margaret leaving her out of a wreath tribute for Teresa's mother. Siggy grew increasingly agitated about Margaret throughout the night, at one point even asking Melissa for a sharp knife from the kitchen, saying, "I want to give a really sharp knife to Margaret so when I leave tonight she can continue to stab me in the back." Once Dolores arrived at the tasting, she huddled together with close friend Siggy so they could both badmouth Danielle and Margaret, making it loud enough that everyone could hear them. "Siggy's really losing it," Teresa complained as she later recalled the night. "She's out of control. Oh my God." Margaret eventually had enough and went over to them, with Siggy readily admitting that despite their kiss and makeup meeting she was not over being left out of the wreath tribute. "Guess what? I'm not over it," she screamed angrily and then stuck her tongue out like a child. "Seriously?" Margaret asked, saying later to camera, "I thought Siggy and I were made up? She's obviously holding a grudge, not on her meds, something effing crazy is going on." Dolores and Siggy then turned on Margaret in her fashion line, poking fun at how it is made in China, with Dolores saying, "I don't like anything of hers." Margaret quipped later of Siggy, "Everything's made in China, including her implants and those cheap-ass hair extensions." Teresa finally tried to get involved in the war of words, just for Dolores to scream over her, with an exasperated Margaret yelling, "Ugh, it's draining, you're 50. Siggy then leaned in close to Margaret and slammed her fists on the table as she said, "You are one of the ugliest human beings in the world for making fun of me." With the housewives' husbands and boyfriends looking on incredulously, Dolores and Siggy got up to storm out. Siggy childishly pranced behind Margaret's back and yelled, "See ya. I wanna go have fun, this is draining. This is boring, it's boring." Before they could leave, Danielle teased Dolores for coming with ex-husband Frank Catania, who has moved back into her house, rather than with boyfriend David, suggesting that she may have even made up her new man. "Hey Dolores, where's your honey? That's your honey for tonight?" she asked of Frank in a mocking tone. "When do I get to meet the one that's now?" Dolores went back to angrily confront Danielle, asking her, "What, do you have a problem with my relationship?" Danielle asked with a big, sarcastic smile, "If your ex-husband and your boyfriend all live in the same house together?" Dolores snapped back, "So? That's none of your effing business, how about that?" As she screamed, "You were nobody to me," Teresa guided Dolores out of her new restaurant, explaining later, "I've known Dolores for 20 years and I knew to get her out of that restaurant before it got even uglier." "What's the matter with you women always arguing? Can't you guys just get along?" Joe asked. His wife Melissa said later, "Pasta makes people happy. What is happening here? Can't anyone just chill the hell out and just eat pasta?" The fighting was a far cry from what Joe and Teresa had planned for their restaurant, which was filled with old photos of the family, including their parents' wedding snaps. They also were pleased to have their dad Giacinto Gorga working in the kitchen. "For years my sister and I were at war. But now my mother can look down on us. We started this business together," so she's saying, "That's my babies, that